The guy said that he doesn't mess around with second years. And Riddick was like, well, it's a good thing I fuck like a third. And I'm like, oh my god, he really went there. Hi guys, Nina here, and welcome back to More Than Fiction. So today we'll be discussing Onyx Storm, the third book in the Imperium series by Rebecca Yarros. I have already discussed Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. You have both of these episodes on my podcast. I am discussing them with a co-host, so there's a debate here, while today I will be debating this book with myself, and I'm looking forward to it because I have a lot of thoughts and opinions. I'm gonna start with a general overview, so with no spoilers basically. The first part of this episode is gonna be spoiler free. So if you have not read this book yet, I recommend you listen to the first part if you want to hear some, a little bit of an insight. And I will warn you once the spoilers start so you can go away, and when you finish the book, come back. Sounds like a plan, right? Okay, so for anyone watching this episode, whether it's on YouTube or Spotify, depends where I'm gonna post it as a video, I will obviously be checking my computer a little bit, so my eyes won't be on you all the time. I have some notes here. I also should be, checking my Kindle, but it's not working. Something is wrong with my Kindle. It's not opening items. And Fourth Wing, Onyx Storm is one of them. And I'm actually really annoyed because I have a lot of notes, obviously, in the book, and some quotes that I want to read. There's some quotes from this book that I liked, and now I can't. Oh my gosh, I will have to Google probably. But thank God I can edit this episode and you won't know that I am searching for quotes for half an hour, So that's fine. Before we start, I would really appreciate it if you can subscribe to this podcast or rate it 5 stars, of course, if you like this episode or any other. It helps with other people discovering it, and me getting more views and us becoming a bigger community, that's all a big deal, and it takes just a second. So yeah, now let's get into it. So like I said, this is the third book in the Imperium series. We basically, in Iron Flame, we left off with Xaden turning Venin, so that was the big revelation, which wasn't that big of a deal for me, if I'm completely honest. I know a lot of people were super sad and shocked about it. However, immediately after Violet found out that Xaden is Venin, they went to bed, they went to sleep, and that's it. You know what I mean? It wasn't a big deal. Obviously, he could still function in a normal way. So I knew that once the third book comes, for a big part of it, he's probably gonna be functional, right? At least, not entirely evil. So that wasn't a big deal for me when it ended. In my head, it was oh, it's gonna be fine. Or maybe I was delusional, I don't know. So yeah, that's where we left off, and I'm not gonna discuss Iron Flame further. If you're reading Onyx Storm, you probably know some details from Iron Flame. If not, go listen to that episode. Onyx Storm, yeah, what I think, I'm not sure. I actually am one of those people that liked Iron Flame better than Fourth Wing, because with Fourth Wing, there were some illogical choices that the writer made, I guess, with the whole system of the book and their world, I guess, in some ways. For example, them falling to their death while they can be used as another type of resource, as a foot soldier, for example. You don't have to be a rider to be useful to the army, so that was kind of stupid to me. So I had a lot of problems with the first book, but honestly, I feel in Iron Flame, she did kind of redeem it a little bit. She even joked about when they finally met the Flyers. The Flyers were no, we don't fall to our death, we'd fall into water, and then, we move on to another job. So I really like that Rebecca touched upon that topic. So now, when I take a look back, I think I like Fourth Wing actually better. I like it more because she explained some stuff. So maybe if I would do a reread, I wouldn't be as nitpicky when it comes to it. Then Iron Flame, yeah, I don't know. I liked a lot, actually. I think a lot of interesting stuff happened and we found out a lot. While Onyx Storm, it started off really slow for me. Oh my god, I was dying in the first part of this book. I am gonna be honest, I was so bored. I was bored, the whole part in the school. There were a lot of names. Oh my god, oh my Jesus Christ. And by the way, just so you know, I also have not read online comments. I don't know what the general consensus about this book is. I don't know whether people love it, whether people hate it. I have no idea, because I just wanted to go this completely blind, like with my own opinion, without other people influencing it, right? So yeah, the names were really painful for me. Like, I don't know, maybe I should have read Iron Flame again, like, and for maybe I should have reread the entire series before jumping into this, because I was so lost. Most of the time I was just like, what, who? I was so fucking annoyed. So annoyed. She used a lot of dragon names. You know, she wouldn't even use the writer's name. She would just use the dragon name, and I would like be, hello, I can't even remember the writers, and you want me to know who dragon, like who that dragon is and who he belongs to? Mind blowing. I don't know why she did that, because she confused the F out of me. I went into this so blind that I even had issues with what Poromial is. I remember, like, if I could check my Kindle right now, there would be a note where like I would highlight the word Poromial, right? The name Poromial, and I would be like, who is that? Well, it's not even a fucking person, it's a country. So I wished she would like give us a little bit of a deep brief at the beginning, like not to summarize the entire series, not that, just like one sentence to just be like, yeah, Poromial, where we found the flyers, I don't know, whatever, you know what I mean. So that was very confusing, and I did not like it. Okay, so the first part of the book was really bad for me. I don't know, I haven't experienced this yet in these, like, because both Fort Wing and Iron Flame, I have complaints, obviously, but I never thought they were like really, really bad, or that they didn't hook me. Well, this one didn't hook me from the beginning. You know, when you really like a book, you can't stop reading. It's like really hard to look away from the screen, from the page, whatever. Well, here I didn't have that problem. Actually, a lot of the times while I was reading, I would just reach for my phone and I would start scrolling through Instagram, and I would prioritize my phone over the book, which is very, very rare for me. Like, if I really like the book, I won't do that. However, I did enjoy it more and more. Like, what was the part? I can't really say what was the part that I enjoyed it, because I don't want to spoil anything, but like the middle, I don't know. Somewhere in the middle of the book, like at 50%, let's say, maybe 60, actually 55, I don't know, that's when I really started to enjoy the book. So I feel like the first half of the book was just, it could have been deleted and I would be fine. And I feel like there was a lot of filler as well. You know, just a lot of boring stuff that Violet does in school. I don't know, like, I like the parts where she was talking with her friends, where they were bantering, but then there were parts where she was just like thinking a lot about shit that we already know, and it was very she repeated herself a lot of the times, like the same thought process about Xaden, and I get that that was a big problem for her this book. She had to overthink it and stuff, but she could have been doing that while on a mission, you know, flying somewhere, I mean riding somewhere to a certain place where they have to fight a big battle, or where they have to like scheme or something, not just being in school and doing nothing. Like, we've been in this college, war college, like we've already done that whole part of the college thing. I know she still has to go to college, she still has to study, but I feel like a lot of that could have been skipped. I didn't like those parts at all. Then also when it comes to the expectations that I had for this book, like some might argue maybe your expectations were too high and now you're just like disappointed. No, I had zero expectations going into this book, actually. Zero. I forgot about this series completely. Like, I'm not one of those people who's obsessed with the series. I feel like it's actually overhyped. It's good, but it's overhyped. So I wasn't following Rebecca Yarros strictly and checking when her new book is gonna be released. So when I saw, my friend actually texted me a picture of the book and I was like, what? That's already out? So weird. I didn't even realize what book it was for a second there. So I had no expectations. I went into this just blind, just completely chill, you know, zero idea what to expect. I hoped it would like positively surprise me. So yeah, when it comes to world building, I think she stepped it up a notch. So that's good. She had like, there's a lot of new places that we kind of discover in this book, and if you've been following me for a while, you know that I'm not a big world building girly. I appreciate it, of course, and I feel like that if it's a really good fantasy book, especially if it's classified as high fantasy, whatever, that the world building should be there, you know, that it should be well developed, the magic system should be explained well and all of that. And I feel like the first two books definitely lacked world building. I mean, in Fourth Wing, we were basically stuck in the college. Then in Iron Flame, we found out a little bit more about Aretia, about Paromia, all of that. So that was cool. And here we stepped it up a notch a little bit more and we went somewhere else too. So I feel like every book she kind of adds one new place. And here she also added some new cultures, some new traditions. So it was a bit different. And I did appreciate that. And it was enough for me. Like I said, I'm not a big world building girly. But if you are, maybe this would still be lacking for you. Maybe you would still wish for more. And when it comes to romance and character dynamics, I feel like some of the friendships in this book really did it for me. I don't know, maybe I lacked in Rhiannon and Violet's friendship. I didn't really see much of progress there. I feel like Rhiannon in this book was kind of meh. I just kind of forgot about her. So that, I really liked her friendship with Riddoch and Sawyer and Garrick. So that was really cool to read. And when it comes to her romance with Xaden, I did not like it actually. I feel like their communication improved. That's great. That they didn't have any miscommunications going on. They actually talked to each other, communicated, were honest. So that's nice. But I don't know, I didn't feel the chemistry. That might be a personal thing, like I don't know, but I did not feel the chemistry at all. I feel like the first book, obviously, this is difficult, I think, in this kind of a long series, because especially when it comes to the characters initially disliking each other or something. I refuse to say hating each other because I don't think this was an enemies to lovers ever. Like, I think they never really hated each other, but they, let's say, kind of disliked each other. And, the tension was there. So when you start off a book series like this, there's tension, and once they kind of get together, that disappears. So you have to find a way to keep the tension. And I feel like she tried to do this in this book, and also in Iron Flame. In Iron Flame, for example, Xaden was kind of being a liar. He really didn't want to tell Violet everything she wanted to know, so they had a lot of miscommunication, a lot of arguments that were not necessary. And I think she tried it like that, but honestly, it was just annoying. It felt flat to me. It wasn't, I feel the chemistry, I feel the vibes, the energy. And I guess what I also missed is just a deeper connection. I feel like they repeat how attracted they are to each other all the time, that I actually don't think that they are, just because, like, why do you have to say it so much? It doesn't have to always be literally fleshed out on the page, like, I am so attracted to her, he looks so hot. It's from Violet's point of view. It can be like in different kind of ways, like, oh my gosh, my heart starts beating really fast when I see him. And honestly, it's not just about it's great. I love spicy scenes, I love spicy books, I think they're great. But I also need something more, like more depth when it comes to these emotional connections. And that's what makes a connection really powerful to me. And then therefore also the sex scenes are more powerful. And I feel like they lack that. In the Iron Flame episode, I kind of already explained that and give examples. While here, I think in some ways, we did find some things about Xaden, and Violet was there for him. So that was nice. But I needed more of that. So this romance isn't that deep for me. It's just sometimes it feels like they're just two horny individuals who just want to jump each other's bones all the time. And that there's nothing more to that. Like that it's basically infatuation. The first stages of love when you meet someone and you think they're the hottest person alive and you get the butterflies. But eventually when you're with that person for a while, those butterflies kind of go away. And what's left then? I know they have been through a lot, so I'm sure they'll survive, and there's going to be a lot for them to still unpack, and, it's going to be fine. But, like I said, I need something more from a romance, and I feel like this didn't deliver in that case. But we'll get into details later. Now let's dive into the spoilers. I will also be having some theories here, because, of course, the book ends on a cliffhanger, and if you have your own theories that you want to discuss, please text me. If you want, I can do a separate theory episode just for theories. I have some of my own. I will probably mention them along the way, or maybe at the end. I'll see how it goes. So first of all, I'm just gonna pretend like the first part of the book didn't happen. I already explained why I didn't like it. It was just a snooze fest. I thought I would just stop reading and that I would not read this book and I would not talk about it. Anything, because it was hard to keep going. But the part that kind of really grabbed my attention was Xaden. when that drama happened, because I like jealousy tropes, okay? So that was the first thing that just that finally just grabbed my attention a little bit more. I wanted to see Xaden jealous, because in the previous book, Violet was jealous of Kat, and I'm glad that the roles have switched now. And I actually, when I was reading Iron Flame, or I don't know, I just know that Halden, like Arik, Cam's brother, was mentioned, and I think that I did have this kind of a feeling that maybe there's something going on between Violet and Halden. Well, at least that it did, because of her thought process. So I wasn't really surprised, and honestly, the way she reacted the moment she found out that Halden is gonna be accompanying them on this mission, it was so weird to me immediately. I was just like, yeah, okay, fine, he's Eric's brother, so maybe she's scared for her friend that he's gonna find out that he's here while he's actually, hiding. Fine. But her reaction didn't make sense. The way her heart started beating faster and shit. I was just like, this is so weird. Like, oh my gosh, what is going on here? And I was so right. And the moment he stepped, I think they were in the middle of class when Xaden was teaching them defense and shit. And when he stepped down those stairs and she just immediately noted that he still looks good, the first thing she noticed was his green eyes. And I'm just like, come on, you girl, you were so in love with this guy. That reaction is just obvious. Oh my gosh, we used to fuck. Just kidding, but no, not really. And yeah, I don't know. I'm sad about Holden's character, honestly. I wanted him to be more. If I'm completely honest, I wanted it to be a bit more complex than what it was. Like, essentially, he was just used as this jealousy arc. And that's fine. Like I said, I love jealousy, but that also has to be more developed, I wish we got more moments with him and Violet when he would just try to get in her good graces. And then Xaden would be rightfully jealous. And I'm not saying he's not rightfully jealous. Like, a person can be jealous even if they just share a freaking glance. People, we're weird. It happens. We get jealous. It's fine. But I just wish there was more to Halden. I also wish he would, I don't know, impress us a little bit more. I think Violet at one point mentioned that he is a good warrior. I think that he's really good, skilled in combat. I think she mentioned that, and I wish we could have seen that. That he wouldn't be as useless as he was, because then Xaden's jealousy, like Xaden eventually he stopped being jealous at Halden because he realized that he's just a wimp, and that's fine. Like, of course, we're team Xaden here, but I wanted for more drama in that kind of way. So that kind of, disappointed. But it did kind of wake me up. So after that, I was awoken. And the interactions later on were fine and fun between the three of them. But yeah, that's it about Halden, I guess. Just wanted to mention the moment that this book kind of finally caught my attention. The whole plot, by the way, about looking for Andarna's kind made sense. Of course, they need the seventh kind to help them with the wards, and just with war in general, they can be definitely useful. Andarna wants to know her family, can't blame her for that. And I just kind of knew they were going to be going to the Isles. They were already mentioned in the past, and I was excited about that, about discovering a new territory. And I wish more of the book was actually about that they would go on this mission a lot sooner, like a lot faster. I really expected that when I started reading this, but instead we just got so many meetings, so many information dumps, so many names. I was lost. I was so lost, like in a desert without water for years. That's how I felt, and I feel like I'm a broken record now. I keep repeating myself about the first part of the book. But why couldn't we just go to the mission a lot faster? Or, I don't know, that an attack happened a lot faster from the Venin, from the Wyverns. They have to go battle, action. Like, what was the point? I feel like every page had at least 4 names. Like, at least 4. It was not necessary, So that was ridiculous. I'm just mad about it because I would have enjoyed this book a lot more if that wasn't the case at the beginning. I would be immediately in it, immediately hooked, and the entire experience would have been so much more enjoyable. Why do I have to suffer 50% of the book to get to the actual things that matter and are interesting? Anyway, back to the plot. Also, Xaden's plot situation going on. So he's Venin now. He has to kind of try to control himself. He's scared that he's gonna hurt Violet or anyone else. And there were instances that this definitely appeared to be a big issue and that it could have happened. Like that one time when she had to step in between him and Riddock. That was intense. So, him abstinating and him not wanting to do anything more than just kiss. I guess it kind of did make sense, but I feel like this was, again, the author's way of trying to maintain some kind of a tension between Xaden and Violet, so that their romance is still interesting and still, gives you the feels because they want to, but they can't. But at this point, I'm just tired of it. It's not doing it for me. But that's a personal thing. It might be doing it for you, and if it is, I'm happy for you. I just, again, wish, for example, when it comes to the plot, that Xaden would have turned full evil Venin in the middle of the book or something. Like, he could have, for example, turned evil a lot sooner, and that would be the main issue. How to get him back. Maybe they would be meeting in dreams, so that could be a really cool thing for her to just try and convince him and wake him up or something to get himself back to himself. Maybe she could have gone on a mission with her squad, right? To get to Xaden and to somehow bring him back with the love she feels for him. And maybe then the book would end in a way in which Xaden kind of does feel a spark of something. It's not completely confirmed that he's back, but there's something there. And maybe it could have ended actually the same way, with Violet losing her memories, because obviously she's lost her memories, Imogen erased them. That means that Xaden and the squad, they have some kind of a plan going on. So I think that Xaden is not fully evil yet, and he probably won't ever be. And the reason is probably gonna be the love he feels for Violet, that's just grounding him. Hopefully that's not the reason, because honestly, I feel like a lot of the people who turned Venin probably had other people in their lives who they love dearly. Xaden and Violet, they're not the only two people in this world that are in love and that care deeply for each other. Others do too. So if that's gonna be the reason why Xaden isn't completely Venin, I'm not gonna like it, because it will just feel like lazy writing. But of course, we'll see. That's just my fear, when it comes to the next book. So yeah, the book could have ended the same way if Xaden just kind of turned evil sooner, and if we got some actual evil actions from him, like, I don't know, that he kills someone important. Maybe not exactly her friend. Or maybe her friend. Maybe Rebecca should have gone there, I know it's hard to get back from there and the guilt is gonna be immense and whatever. But that could also be a thing, for the next, or I don't know which book, but that he suffers the guilt of killing Violet's friend, for example, when he was Venin. But of course, no one can actually blame him because he wasn't himself. So we would still love him, but it would be a complex situation, and we're all about complexity, right? This actually reminds me of the Vampire Academy. I don't know if you've read the Vampire Academy books. If you wanna skip this part a little bit, because I'm gonna spoil something, but at the same time, it's such an old book that it doesn't really matter. So the main guy, he also kind of turned Venin. Not exactly Venin, but something like that. And it was also a whole situation that the main character, she had to save him or something, and then he had to battle his guilt of what he has done and who he was when he was not himself. And amazing. Hopefully we'll get that for Xaden. But my fear is that he will never turn completely Venin, never turn completely evil, because like I said, they have a plan. So that states that he will probably always somehow be... He'll probably be cold and detached, and Violet won't feel the love that he was providing her with previously or whatever, but he's not gonna be entirely gone. And I don't know, I kind of wish he would be. So for the story, it would be more interesting, right? So I guess that's my first theory. Xaden is not entirely 100% evil Venin. He has a plan that will destroy the Venin from the inside out. He'll probably infiltrate them as some kind of a spy. They also did something with those eggs that they stole. They got married in secret. Come on, what else do I have to say? We do not have to be worried about Xaden. And honestly, another theory, I don't think Rebecca's ever gonna kill Xaden. I don't think that this is gonna be a sad love story that ends in heartbreak, which I'm happy about. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining about this. Maybe it sounds like I am, but no, I'm not. But when you know that, when you feel, that's the issue that I maybe have with the series, the stakes don't feel that real, at least when it comes to Xaden and Violet. It just always feels like everything's gonna be fine, and I don't know, I feel like that's an issue when it comes to the author and her writing, because if it would be written well, I feel like I would be scared. Even if, maybe rationally speaking, of course she's not gonna kill Xaden, but there's a part of me that still kind of just is scared and, oh my gosh, but what if she is? Like, she creates that kind of a dilemma in me, and Rebecca does not do that. She does not create that dilemma. I'm just so convinced that this is not gonna happen. I don't know, let me know if you're the same, if you feel the same way, or if this is just me and I just, for some reason, don't trust this author because she kind of disappointed me in the beginning and, maybe, I don't know. Okay, moving on. If you haven't noticed, this is gonna be an all over the place debate with myself, because I feel like I'm debating myself too. I'm trying to convince myself of other situations, of other realities, of other opinions, but it's hard. It's hard when I'm talking to myself. Anyways, when it comes to, the characters themselves, in this book, I really loved Xaden. I think that, Xaden as an individual, not as part of the romance. Like I said, I feel like his struggle with self-control completely makes sense. Like, that's the only Venin thing that we got out of him, so I'm happy that that was there. But I wish we got more of this struggle, Like, I wish we got more moments when he would almost turn completely evil, like, more moments when Violet would see the cold in his eyes, the switch or something, like that something really switches. A lot of the times, Xaden was blocking Violet out, so she couldn't actually communicate with him. And I feel like that's a shame. Like, I understand it from his point of view as a character that he would, as a person, that he would want to do that, have some alone time, detach himself. But as an audience, as a reader, I did not like it, because that could be a great opportunity for us as readers to get more insight into Xaden's thoughts and opinions. A lot of those times when he blocked her, they could have had a full-on conversations about it, and he could open himself about it a little bit more. He could tell her about his struggles a little bit more. All of those struggles could have been more enhanced, and they should have been, for me to feel like Xaden is actually Venin, and that he is actually gonna turn Venin full evil, and that would create a lot more tension, and I would be more scared, and I would actually be worried about Xaden. But like this, I wasn't, and I didn't get any insight into his, like, some, but not as much as we could have gotten. I feel like a lot of the scenes, I also missed Xaden the warrior. He didn't exactly, like, bug me in the sense that I didn't like him, but, I wish we got more when it comes to Xaden. That's basically it. But yeah, I feel like in this book, he felt a lot more mature. He didn't hide shit from Violet. He told her everything. So that's good. That's so good. Even when he certainly blocked her, but then when he got back, he kind of told her, how he's feeling. So he was more open, and that was really nice. Good character growth. I don't remember, like, in that department how they ended in the previous book. So that's a bit of a problem right now that I think of it. Remind me if you have anything to say about this, but I'm not sure, like, if they resolved this issue, because a really big deal of the previous book was the fact that Xaden didn't communicate, and he told Violet basically that she did not ask specific questions, and that if she doesn't ask a specific question, he's not gonna tell her anything. And that was so stupid to me, by the way. So I'm not sure if they resolved that, if he, like, once they talked it out, if he actually agreed with her and he was like, yeah, you're right, this is not a good way of thinking or something. I don't know if they resolved it. If they did, and now this book is better in that department, it kind of makes sense. But if they didn't, and they didn't even have a conversation about it in this book, then it's like such a big switch from what we know of Xaden that it doesn't flow well. You know what I mean? But at the same time, again, if I'm the devil's advocate, arguing here with myself, maybe you could say that him turning Venin changed him. The fact that he might lose everyone and everything that he loves, that put things into perspective, and now he's more mature about it, and he realizes that he should just be honest and open, because he doesn't know when this is all gonna end and when he's gonna lose her. I think I actually convinced myself there. Nice. Okay. Violet. Okay, when it comes to Violet, I never disliked Violet, I actually, in the first book, I thought she was really smart. My co-host actually kind of disagreed with me on that. She thought Violet was, for a smart character, she made some stupid, like she didn't figure out things. For example, she would, I don't know, when it comes to the books about Wyvern and Venin, about stories, she would go to the library and she would see that the book isn't there. And she would be like, oh, but I wonder why it's not here. Since any book that it's not in the library, it's because it's prohibited. So, And then she would go on and think about how hot Xaden is. She wouldn't really finish her thought process. She wouldn't investigate and stuff like that. So in that way, yeah, it doesn't sound like the most intelligent person. But I think that was, again, Rebecca's fault because she wanted to keep the suspense high, even though, like, I guessed about the Wyvern Venin pretty soon, so I wish Violet would have guessed with me, right? But yeah, I thought Violet was an intelligent character. I still think she is. I liked a lot of her way of thinking. I liked the way she handled herself. She was the general, I guess, of their little squad. I mean, I'm not sure if general is the correct word, but the leader. And I liked her in that kind of a position. The best leaders are the ones who don't want to lead. So I also had a big suspicion that Violet eventually, when Xaden turns dark, she is gonna take over Aretia, if that's how it's pronounced. And I was right, so happy about that. What else to say? Do you see the way I'm talking about Violet, by the way? Do you see that I'm kind of being... I was a lot more passionate when it comes to Xaden. That's bad, okay? That's a sign that I wasn't that into Violet. Like, let's be honest. Like, I did not dislike her. I do not hate her, anything. But definitely not my favorite main character. She just kind of lacked that spark. I don't even know. And also when it comes to her badassery on the battlefield as a warrior, that confused me a bit. I know that she was really good with knives all along, like from the beginning. So that's fine. Her being like really, sharp when it comes to those knives, amazing. But just like her fighting skills, the way she fights, and she's so good. In some ways, it kind of felt like she matched Xaden, It was so weird. Like, for example, when they were on that island where they had to fight those warriors, right? Where Dane and Xaden almost died. Dane and Xaden almost died, and she didn't. And she actually saved Xaden's life when she threw a knife. Which, again, okay, her knife throwing skills on par. But at the same time, she threw a knife and she actually also handled the warrior she was fighting. I'm all into a powerful female character. I'm all about that, and I love females in books that are just so skilled. But does it make sense for Violet? I don't know. And even when there are moments, when she broke her leg or something because her bones are fragile, and I'm glad that that's consistent. Rebecca really... It's still a thing. She didn't forget about it, and Violet isn't all of a sudden this almighty, all-powerful creature. Glad about that, of course, makes sense. But even that, she broke her bone, and it wasn't that big of a deal. She screamed a little bit, and then it was described as her sucking in the pain and just moving on. And is that really realistic? Like, imagine you breaking a leg and just sucking in the pain and just being fine, like running and fighting. Let me know your thoughts. We're here. I'm talking with you. I'm not talking with myself. I take that back. But yeah, I was just wondering sometimes if these sudden skills when it comes to combat make sense when it comes to Violet. That's it. Then moving along, oh my gosh, Rhiannon, for example. I'm not gonna stick with Rhiannon for a while, but I loved Rhiannon as a main best friend. I mean, I loved her, liked her. I feel like in the first book we, should have gotten more of her. And it's the same here. I feel like this is the least amount of Rhiannon that we got. She wasn't really a part of this book that much. Like, she didn't even go on the mission. And I know that Sawyer, for example, also didn't, but it was still different. I mean, I like Rhiannon as a character because she is a leader. She is the squad leader. She has this capability of making the tough choices, and she will put the mission and the community in front of the people she loves. And that's a really good thing. Like, we got a lot more insight when it comes to Rhiannon in her own chapter, which when I first saw that it's from Rhiannon's point of view, I was kind of like, we didn't get that much of her, and now we're getting her point of view. Like, I'm not attached to her. Give me Riddick, for example. I am attached to Riddick. Give me his chapter. It would make more sense. But, once I was in her head, in Rhiannon's head, I did kind of get a little bit more insight into her. So if she's going to be a bigger part in the next books, okay, fine. But she's not the friend that I'm really attached to. And if she would have died, for example, I would not be broken about it. So this found family situation that Rebecca has going on in this book also didn't touch me to the level where I would really live and breathe for these characters and be really scared of anything happening to them. You know, Quinn, for example, and Traeger, they died in this book. It was sad for Imogen, especially when we were in her head, and she had this kind of a memory of Quinn, like, that was so cute, by the way. The first time they met, when they were crossing the parapet, and Quinn just kind of jumped in her face and was like, "Hi, I'm Quinn, I think we should be friends." Something like that. That was so adorable. So I did feel for Imogen, and I feel like I got a lot more of Imogen in this book, so from her point of view, I felt that she's losing a good friend. That was sad for her. But for Quinn, I was like, who even is Quinn? Even now, I don't remember Quinn from the previous books. Who is this girl? I don't know. Also, Imogen, I think she's an interesting character. She's one of those, I'm a bad bitch and I don't pretend that I'm anything other than what I am. And I love those kinds of characters. I imagine her with a ton of tattoos, with a short cut, or a pixie or something. I don't know. She's just badass, and we should have gotten more of her. She also obviously has some feelings for Garrick, and that was the last thing that Quinn told her, that she should act on them. Life is short. And of course, I agree with Quinn there. Now that I think about it, maybe we should have gotten more Quinn, because she might be a smart cookie, you know? But I don't know. I don't know her. Also, now that I'm speaking of Imogen and Garrick, I wish we got more of that. Like, just more of other love stories. Not just Xaden and Violet, because like I said, I don't feel that. Maybe I would feel them more if we actually got other stories too, because then I wouldn't get tired of Xaden and Violet, because it would not be just about them, it would be about others, so it would be like a good balance. So whenever I would read about Xaden and Violet, I would be like, oh, finally Xaden and Violet, that's so cute. You know, it would maybe be different, but now that I'm just reading about them and from this one perspective, one POV, it's really, really tiring. It's tiring. So yeah, I wish we got other POVs basically. All of these, like, all of this, maybe not the entire squad. I feel like that would be difficult for Rebecca. I don't know. Maybe I'm underestimating her, but I'm not sure. We'll see. For example, Throne of Glass, TOG had a lot of different POVs. In one book, she even started like a completely random POV of a character that we first met, and we met her through her POV. We did not meet her from main character's point of view. So that was super weird, and I actually kind of hated it at the beginning, but it all made sense at the end. The story really came together in a beautiful way, and it was so cool. So I don't know why this couldn't have been done in this book. We could get Riddick's point of view, Imogen's, Rhiannon's, you know. And in that way, I feel like we would also get more attached to these characters. You know, that's the problem. We don't know them. Like, this is a very long book, guys. And yeah, there are moments when they have the banter going on and the chats and the bonding. But in the grand scheme of things, when you think about the length of this book, that's not a lot, you know? So I didn't get attached to them as much as I could have. Riddick was super fun. He also went on the mission, so we got a lot of him. He was funny. He was charismatic. I think I will forever remember the moment when he was flirting with that guy from third year, and the guy said, you know, that he doesn't mess around with second years, and Riddick was like, well, it's a good thing I fuck like a third. And I'm like, oh my god, he really went there. That was so good, and also kind of hot, you know. The guy knows what he wants. That was like, go Riddick, you just, you know, impress me. I want to hear more about your love story, your romances, you know, your kind of a way with people and flirting and shit, you know, that sounds interesting. So yeah, Riddick, he was amazing. I love him. I actually had this awful feeling, fear. I feared for Riddick because Rebecca already proved that, you know, she can kill some of the gang. Like, she will never kill Xaden and Violet, but she did prove that she can kill their inner squad. Like Liam, for example. I got attached to Liam and he died. And I feel like I would feel the same way about Riddick. I got attached to Riddick, and if he would have died, I'd be sad. So obviously Rebecca is capable. But I don't know. I feel like she just wrote this book, used so much filler instead of doing something with these characters that would make me fall in love with them. Like I did with Riddick. If I could fall in love with him, why not with the others, you know? I also liked Sawyer, by the way. I'm not as attached to him. I don't know how I'd feel if he would die. I would probably be sad, but like not super sad like I was with Liam or I would be with Riddick. But yeah, I feel like Sawyer is a strong person, a strong character. He went through a lot. He lost his leg, and obviously this book was about him coping with that, and that's a big deal for anyone. And it made sense for me that he basically took the entire book to get on that dragon and to finally go into battle and ride. It made complete sense, especially in the world where they live in, where, you know, if you're not like physically strong, you're not strong, you know. They're not other types of strength. That's the way they're raised, that's what they believe in. So this was a big blow for him, and it made sense. And I was glad when he finally climbed on his dragon and rode into the sunset. I love that for him. Sawyer was good. Yeah, I need more of Sawyer, I think. And ooh, you know who I missed actually in this book? I miss Dane. I miss Dane a lot, because in the first book I hated Dane, and then in the second book I liked Dane, and then I expected to love him here. But he was just not there, you know? Wasn't really part of the anything. He was just like a ghost in the background. Kind of disappointing. I thought he would be a bigger deal in this entire series. And we also got a whiff of him and his love interest, which is crazy. Sloane. I did not see that coming, but it was obvious from the moment when, I don't even know what was it exactly. I would know if my Kindle would be working, but fine. So they were talking, and Dane was saying something to her, and she looked at him in a specific way that Violet noticed. And I was immediately like, well, Sloane and Dane, sitting in a tree. Kissing, you know? I love it. I love that, actually, because this is an enemies to lovers, if there ever was one. Sloane legit has reasons to hate Dane, because he did kind of cause Liam's death in a way. So I wish we got his perspective or her perspective so we would see what's going on there. And there was this one moment that I might be completely misinterpreting, okay? I might be, but I don't think I am. So the moment where Sloane had to help Mira was dying, and Sloane siphoned Dane power and gave it to Brennan so that Brennan could heal Mira, right? And oh my gosh, she says, "I'm going to hurt you." And Dane replies, "Gods, don't I know it?" Oh my gosh, I might be completely insane right now, and that might just be like sarcastically Dane, "Oh, don't I know it? Obviously you're gonna hurt me, like I am, you know, you're gonna take my power, I'm gonna be weak, fuck this shit." But of course, it wasn't that, okay? Dane did not need his power in that moment. That's why he allowed her to siphon him. It was like, I have feelings for you, and I know this is gonna end badly because you hate me. That kind of scenario. And I'm into it, okay? Give me more of this shit. And you know, Sloane, I kind of was annoyed with her in the previous book. I know she lost her brother, but the way she blamed Violet, even though she explained to her 1,000 times how it happened, what happened, that she was his friend, that he wanted, you know, it was just, Sloane was difficult. Like, blame Dane, not Violet. And she is blaming Dane now. Now Violet's in the clear and Dane's the problem. So, you know, I had mixed feelings about Sloane, but I do like her fiery personality. And in a relationship, fiery personalities can be really fun. So Dane's in for a ride. Then Mira. Mira is also another character with a love interest that I would like to see more of. What is his name though? I forgot his name, the guy's name. He's Kat's cousin, I believe. So obviously they were bickering a lot. There was that moment when he got the kitten and he named her Broccoli. She was like, "Why not Carrot? She's orange." I died there. So they had a cute situationship going on. That's definitely gonna be a thing. But if we won't get their POVs of these characters, that's just such a missed opportunity. These love stories, they won't hit me as hard, and they didn't hit me as hard right now either. So maybe this book was actually a setup for the fourth book. Maybe there we're actually gonna get multiple POVs, and we already know that there's something going on between Mira and this dude, also between Dane and Sloane. You know, we have like a setup, and there it's actually gonna be executed. Maybe it's gonna be like that. Still, I feel like it's a missed opportunity for this book. Why not already do it here? But I'm sure Rebecca has her reasons. Maybe it wasn't even her decision. Maybe the higher ups told her that it's not a good thing, like they advised her. I don't know how this world of writers works, but it's a very, very strange decision, if you ask me. And yeah, Mira, she was like cool. I feel like she's a consistent character. She's this badass, strong warrior. She's a straight to the point kind of a person. She tells you how it is. So I liked her, but I did not like the part where she didn't tell Violet about what she found out. Basically, that she was dedicated to Dune. Her grandmother told her this, and I guess she kind of interpreted it in the way that Violet is eventually gonna turn Venin. You know, this is about Violet. This is a big deal, and it's your grandmother, and it's her grandmother, and you should just talk it out. I feel like that miscommunication was unnecessary. I feel like Xaden and Violet finally started communicating, and it went to shit with Mira and Violet. What? But fine. It doesn't kind of sound like Mira, you know? I mean, I guess you could explain it in a way that she's being protective of her sister, and that is Mira. She is protective of her sister, but she's a very honest person too. You know, you can expect honesty with Mira, and she just seems like the type of character, the type of person who doesn't hold things in. She explodes and she tells you immediately how she feels, and then you resolve that situation and you move on, you know? That's how it feels with her. So this was kind of disappointing, but I'm not too angry. I'm not saying I hate Mira now because of that, or I dislike Mira. I still like her, but you know, it was, I think, just a writer's choice to keep the tension, to keep the mystery, and then eventually it all exploded, and it was a big deal, and even though it wasn't, I kind of noticed that, I think I guessed this, that I wouldn't use the words that Violet was dedicated to Dune, but you know, when she came to that island, and people were like, they had the same hair as her, and they were all worshipping Dune, and they were priestesses, and her hair's like that. I'm like, well, obviously something was going on in that way, so this wasn't that big of a revelation. You know, it wasn't. So it could have been revealed sooner. So yeah, that. Brennan, I don't feel a lot about Brennan. He's just there. He's like a good bro. He helps, he mends. He is also there for Xaden, which I really like. He kept his secret. He was there for Xaden the entire time. That's why I have like a big theory about when it comes to Brennan. And I'm just gonna get to it because right now I'm talking about Brennan, so why not? I think that the dude in the last chapters that Xaden refers to as the brother that turned is Brennan, okay? I know it might be also like Bodhi, because Bodhi is actually referred as the brother a lot of the times here, and he's Xaden's successor, so it would make sense that Violet marries Xaden because he no longer has a stable successor because he turned Venin. Garrick would also make sense. He's also like a brother to Xaden, and he kind of, in that situation when he was with Imogen, he said to her that he can't use his speed or something, that he can't use his power anymore, that he kind of ran out of strength, of juice. So maybe, you know, he wanted to help and he turned Venin because he needed the energy, he needed the power. That would also make sense. Bodhi and Garrick both make sense, and I won't be mad if they're them. I mean, honestly, if it's Bodhi, I'm gonna be mad, kind of, because Bodhi's kind of boring to me. I don't like Bodhi that much. Like, he's just kind of Xaden's brother slash cousin slash successor. He complains all the time that he doesn't want to be that, it's gonna be Xaden, whatever. It's like, at points, I was wondering if he knows, if he's in the loop about what Xaden is, because I'm like, why are you know what can happen to Xaden? You know, maybe he doesn't know, maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but I think Bodhi's in the loop, right? I mean, of course, he's in denial, you could say that, but he just frustrated me a little bit. And honestly, I feel like if it is Bodhi, it's very obvious, because he was referred to as the brother in like a previous scene. When they brought him to Theophany, he was the brother that they thought she referred to. So yeah, I want it to be Bodhi. But why I think it's Brennan, like literally just, I'm sticking with this just because I trust my instincts, I trust my intuition when it comes to books. Like a lot of the theories that I have had in the past when it comes to other books have come true. And movies, TV shows too. I'm just good with this shit, okay? And my instinct, like my initial, without any kind of a overthinking, argumentation, whatever, is Brennan. Literally, when Xaden, in his thought process, said his brother the one he never thought would turn, and the one who watched him struggle for the past 5 months. All of that, when he said that, when he thought that, I was like, Brennan. His name, his face, his visualization, whatever, just popped into my head. So for me, it is Brennan. And also, I have a bit of an explanation about it. Like, he could definitely be referred to as his brother because they have been through it. Okay, Brennan was there with him for the whole thing. Even before Violet, they were buddies. They were like working together when it comes to the rebellion's cause. And now he's dating his sister. He's now married her, so they're literally brothers, you could say. And Violet didn't know that Brennan knew about Xaden, about him being a Venin, and that he was mending him the entire time, helping him the entire time. He was there for him. So he went through that with him, maybe even more than Garrick and Bodhi. Garrick and Bodhi, they were also there. They kept watch. They made sure that Violet doesn't get hurt. Fine. But remember the moment when when Violet realizes that Brennan is in on it? Like, her thought process was, she was shocked. She couldn't believe. It was a big deal. And the way it was described, it was like very emotional. You know, Brennan was like, I tried, Violet, and I couldn't help him. And Xaden was like, yeah, he was there for me. They all made it such a big deal. More than they made it out to be with Bodhi and Garrick. So for that emotional, sentimental reason, and the way it was explained, I really do think that it's Brennan. Also, you know, you could argue that Garrick was, at the time when this was all happening, he was with Imogen, right? I'm not sure if he was there in that exact moment, but in that kind of a time frame, he was with Imogen, and he can't distance walk. You could definitely say, yeah, but Garrick says in that part that he can't, and maybe that's why he turns, because he wants to help. But maybe that statement is there exactly because it wants to confuse us, and it's just a fact. He can't distance walk, so he didn't distance walk, so he wasn't there with Xaden when that happened. And also, I'm not sure of this exactly when it comes to Bodhi. I'm not sure where he was, but I think he was also on the ground when Xaden was going through his visualization of the people, when he was like stretching his shadows out. I think that Bodhi was on the ground, that he saw him. I think he was mentioned. And where was Brennan? Hello, it's Brennan. Like, it is Brennan. I'm so convinced about this in my soul, in my heart. Mostly, and not even because of the explanation that I just made when it comes to Garrick, where he was and where Bodhi was. Mostly because of the sentimental feels I was getting when Violet realized that Brennan was there for Xaden, and the way they made it out to be. Like, it was such an emotional thing. And you know, I can only imagine that when Brennan was healing and mending Xaden, that they had a lot of conversations, that they talked a lot about this. I actually imagine him as kind of being Xaden's therapist. I feel like Xaden in those moments really confined in Brennan. And I don't know, it feels like maybe the thing between them when it comes to Xaden's Veninism was even stronger and even deeper. That's just the feel that I got, okay? And remember my words, mark my words, if this is, which it is, when this happens in the 4th book, remember me, Nina Marcheta, it's Marcheta, pronounced Marcheta, but fine if you don't know how to pronounce that, from More Than Fiction Pod, called it, okay? Yay. I'm sure other people already assume this and are theorizing this, but I don't know. I feel like maybe most people believe that it's Garrick and Bodhi. We'll see. Okay, moving on. When it comes to the dragons, I love Tairn, of course. He's like the daddy of this group. You know, he's just such a broody character. He's so wise. He's old. He's just amazing. There's nothing negative I can say about Tairn. He's also intelligent. He puts them straight. I love him. I love Sgale too. I think she's such a cool, bitchy dragon. She's always grumpy. She's very negative, you could say, but that's who she is, and she keeps it straight, and I love that. I imagine her as such a dangerous dragon, like, even that she looks even more dangerous than Tairn. Tairn's just like a big grumpy dad kind of a character, while Sgale is just that kind of a snake, you know, like a sexy snake. Oh my gosh, a sexy snake? What? You know what I mean, okay? She's just sexy and, you know? While Andarna, I don't know, you know? Sure, like, look, I know Adarna's a kid, She's a kid, basically. She's a child. And children, they can be bratty and they can be like annoying and stuff. And of course, that's all part of being a kid. But she was so unreasonable sometimes. And I get it, she's a kid, so I can't really blame her. She's not an adult. But she just annoyed me so. Like, I couldn't help myself. Sometimes kids do annoy me. I still like Andarna, I think. It's a conflicting feeling because I really loved her up until this book, I think. I mean, even in Iron Flame, she was being kind of bratty sometimes. But here, I don't know. I mean, it's fine. I guess you can understand her. She wants to know her family. Of course she does. And you know what was the final straw for me? Like, I think I was fine with her being like that up until she left Violet. I know she wants... I mean, that was just so quick to me. It happened so fast. I know she wanted to know her family, and Violet, in her thought process, you could see that she saw it in Andarna's eyes, that she wants to leave, that she's not leaving just because of Violet, and that she has to let her go. And the moment Violet decides that, the moment she's like, I have to let her go, Andarna's like, okay, bye, peace out, see ya. See ya never. See ya in a couple of years, or maybe not, because you might die tomorrow and I'm not going to be here to say goodbye. You know? And Theron and Sgale, they raised her. I don't know. I feel like family matters. You know, blood relations. Of course it matters. I love my family. But found family is important too. I feel like in life, you can make your own family. You know? You can surround yourself with people who feel like family, even if you're not connected by blood. And of course, Andarna's a child, but I don't know. I guess this feels very foreign to me. I don't think I could just leave these individuals who raised me, who were there for me throughout it all, and go to live with some people, I mean, with some dragons that abandoned me, you know? I know they had their reason, but even in the way they judged her when she came and when she confronted them, I mean, they didn't necessarily judge her, they judged Violet, actually. With Andarna, they were kind of, you know, we get it, it's not your fault. But still, it was a very negative environment. So for Andarna to just leave and be like, I was disappointed in Andarna. Like, I was. I mean, she's back now. I wonder how that happened, because she had to fly to get here. So I wonder if she didn't even make it all the way there. If, like, mid-flight, she kind of decided to go back. Or if, like, Garrick is indeed a Venin. Maybe he used his newfound abilities, newfound power, like the energy to go and get Andarna, maybe. But I don't know how he could transfer Andarna. Can he transfer dragons? I don't know. We'll find out. Maybe it probably is this kind of a situation that Andarna just kind of reacted instinctively. Maybe she was afraid. She was like, okay, this is the last chance that I have to get to know my family. And then once she was kind of on the way there, or when she got there, she realized that this isn't it. She kind of remembered what matters. Like, maybe she immediately remembered what I just explained before about found family and what actually matters in life. I'm not judging her, and I'm not writing her off immediately, because there's like 2 more books and she's back, so. But yeah, that decision did kind of, what the fuck? I was like, what the fuck? I couldn't believe it. Okay, last but not least, Theophany. Okay, Theophany. Who is this girl? Who is this woman? Who is this Wyvern? No, sorry. Who is this Venin, mage, whatever she's called? No, Maven, sorry. Maven. It's Sage and then it's Maven, right? I don't know. What? I mean, I was kind of intrigued by her because of the silver hair. Immediately, when Violet noted that she has a silver braid, I just kind of highlighted that and was like, huh, silver braid. Are they, like, related? I didn't know exactly what was going on back then yet. So later, when we found out about the priestesses, that they all have silver hair, I kind of made the connection that Theophany, she might have been a priestess. But yeah, we didn't really get any foreshadowing for Theophany in the previous book. We got it for that sage. Was it the sage? He is the sage, right? Bervin, whatever his name is, that Xaden kind of defeated, but he's still somehow alive, which we find out at the end of the book. We got him, and he was like visiting them in their dreams too. So, you know, that was a thing in the previous book already. So we got foreshadowing for him. He has a plan. it seems that Theophany doesn't really like him that much. I don't have much to say about Theophany, honestly. It was cool to see how dangerous she is. It was cool that we thought at first that she's a lightning wielder, and I did not call that, by the way. I definitely, just like Violet, assumed that she's a lightning wielder and that she's kind of Violet's opposite, and that, Violet was made to be her opposite so that there's balance, right? But no, she's actually her mom's opposite, which is a storm wielder, which is even more powerful and super cool. I would be a storm wielder if I could. So that's a cool power, very dangerous, yeah, very badass. But yeah, I don't get what her point really was. I mean, at the end she died. Or did she? No, she died. She definitely died. So what did she want? Yeah, okay, so she wanted Violet to get her to her, especially because of Andarna, and obviously she wasn't the person in charge. She was doing this to prove herself, and I don't understand, like, what does this mean? Did she want to prove herself in like the Venin community? You know, that she's like the one that should be above all others because she got to the lightning wielder and her dragon that's very rare, whatever. Or is there like a higher up? Like, is there a hierarchy here? Because Maven, that's like the biggest kind of a thing you can be, right, in this society of Venins. But maybe they also have leadership, and maybe she's not the leader. Maybe they have a king or something, and she wants to prove herself to him or to her. I don't know. So yeah, Theophany, I feel like she could have been more foreshadowed in the past. Like, even in the previous book, I don't know, maybe Violet had a dream of a rider with silver hair, but, you know, red eyes or something, like, just a small thing. There were a lot of opportunities that Rebecca could have foreshadowed Theophany, but she didn't. I feel like she just popped up out of nowhere. So yeah, that's all I have to say about Theophany, basically. If you have any theories, if you want to comment anything, or if there's anything I missed when it comes to foreshadowing, maybe she was foreshadowed and I don't know, I don't remember, let me know. And yeah, I just realized I didn't talk much about the islands. I'm gonna discuss this real quick. I like the island part. Like I said, I like the mission. I like the squad. It was fun. It was cool. Like, you know, the first thing that happened that was really bad was when they got to dinner with that king, where they had to station themselves, I think, and Xaden ruined everything. That was ridiculous. That's when I was just like, okay, Xaden, he's definitely not gonna be, you know, a really, like, big threat or anything, really. He's just stupid. But Violet handled the situation like a queen, so I was proud of her there. She really put a stop to all of that. It was a really good power move also when Andarna, there were like 2 panthers, there were 3 panthers in that room, and Andarna, like, took hold of one, and the king was really attached to it. It was like his pet. So he, of course, submitted immediately, and the way Andarna was holding the panther, that was so cute, the way Violet described it, like, she was being careful about it, adorable. So, see, moments that I really liked Andarna in. Then another part, like the fighting, I liked all of these challenges, basically, if I sum it up. I thought that the game in that last, like, not the last island, what was it? Something, it starts with Z, where they were like into games, and it was basically a game of luck, a game of chance. They got these gifts. That was really cool. It kind of reminded me of Squid Game a little bit. And of course I knew there was a catch, and the catch was that one of them died, essentially, and it was Traeger. And I felt for Kat, by the way. I was like, about Traeger, it didn't affect me, but Kat, her loss affected me a little bit, because as much as I still don't like Kat, if I'm completely honest. She didn't really redeem herself for me. Like, the way she behaved in Iron Flame was so stupid to me. Like, I get it. Rebecca tried to explain it away in the sense that she's after power, that she wants to be queen, that it's not about this boy and about stupid things like that. She wants to be queen. She's ambitious, and that's fine, but the way she went on about it was just stupid. She like left little notes for Violet. She kept showing up naked. She made these stupid comments about having sex with Xaden, you know, how she taught him some stuff in bed. Stupid. And what? We're now supposed to just like her because she says that it's about her being queen and about ambition? And I think that Rebecca made a comment in one of her interviews that if it were a guy and if he were doing stupid shit for power, that we would accept it and we would be fine with it. But because it's a girl, it's different. And it's like about feminism and shit. No, like if a guy was doing stupid pranks like that, showing up naked and making snide remarks about going down on someone and teaching her shit. No, I would think that's disgusting too, you know? So I guess I understand her motive, but the way she went on about it was stupid. And she still seems to be, like, at least at the beginning of the book, be making stupid comments when it comes to Violet. She still seems to be kind of in love with Xaden, and that's just awkward and weird, and yeah. And another thing that I don't want to forget, like, about this mission, the fact that Violet was so insistent upon taking flyers with her and Gryphons didn't make sense to me, because they were just slowing them down. You know, I get it that they're like a squad and they're a team, and Kat was kind of necessary in the sense that she's royalty, so she's basically a representative of Boromeo. Okay, I still think they could have done it without her. She wasn't that necessary, really. Sure, she was mentioned a couple of times, or at least once, when they were like sitting and eating dinner with Xaden's mom. She was mentioned, like, why aren't they together, Kat and Xaden? And that was the only thing, like, but she didn't need to be present for that. So the fact that Violet was insistent upon that, I didn't like it. It didn't make sense strategically. They were slowing them down, and it was a problem. It was literally a problem. Even Theron remarked upon it. Even Theron, in one of his little comments, he said, I remember this quote, he basically, I mean, not exactly the quote, but he basically said, we really needed to take the Gryphons, didn't we? You know, he was being sarcastic about it, because he agrees with me, okay? So, yeah, that was unnecessary. But of course, Violet, she has to take her team. It's such a big deal. Whatever. At the end, it kind of felt like they just had to take the flyers so that one of them gets killed. That, like, there's, like, this big murder. And it's not like, you know, I don't like unnecessary deaths in books, you know, when they just die for the sake of dying. Here, I don't mind it that much, because this is like a custom of this kingdom. They make these kinds of games. This is how they roll. So if this is how they do it, of course they had to do it. And of course one of them would have died, and Traeger just wasn't lucky. And I feel like I said, I feel for Kat. Even if I don't like her as a character, I don't want her to suffer. And it seems like she finally was moving on from Xaden. She gave Traeger a chance. And as I understood it, he was pining for her for years. So it's sad that they couldn't even start their relationship the proper way. So that's definitely sad for Traeger and for Kat. Xaden's mom, that was an intrigue. He met his mom. She's still alive. She has two boys. So basically Xaden has brothers. Xaden, of course, is mad at her. Like, of course, he resents her that she abandoned him. Who wouldn't? But she did want to explain herself, and she did say something along the lines that she wanted to take him with her. So there's more to that story. Probably Xaden is kind of hyping his dad up a little, just like Violet was hyping her dad up when it comes to dads, you know? So yeah, I think there's more to Xaden's mom. Hopefully we'll get more of her and their relationship. I think that was complex, and I think that was a good way for the author to make the relationship between Violet and Xaden a little bit deeper. He opened up to Violet about his mom and why this is such a big deal for him and why he's so sad, and so that was a good way for them to bond in a way that was not sexual, you know? And then when it comes to Violet's dad, yeah, we basically realized that he wanted to fix her, essentially, because she was sickly. He took her to this temple of Dune, and he wanted to dedicate her. It didn't happen. It wasn't finished, because the priestess, if I understood correctly, was the one who said that she has still so many different paths in front of her, that her path is not set. So she can't dedicate her. And Violet is, of course, sad because she worshipped her dad. She was really closer to him than to her mom. But yeah, to find out that her mom was the one who actually defended her and who was against sucks, for sure, like that she didn't know that. There's so much about Violet's dad and mom that we still don't know. Oh my god, and I wish we get to know more. Like, even about her dad, like, we found out some things, but not that much. Yeah, we found his books, the one he wrote, but not about him, you know? Like, now we found out that he did this. Yeah, sure, it sucks, but at the same time, is it really that bad? Like, one could argue, like, Violet's sad because she thinks he didn't believe in her, but at the same time, she was a sick baby. And of course, any parent would want to cure their child because they're afraid of them dying. So you could reason that he just loved her so much that he wanted to do something. I know it's not the right thing and it was outlawed, you know, you can't dedicate children, they have to serve, and it's not their choice to a temple. Of course not. But I guess he was just so desperate. I don't think he's like a bad person, and maybe we'll find out more, and I think Violet will eventually forgive him and see that it wasn't as, as bad. But yeah, we also need to find out more about Violet's mom. Like, for example, I called it in the first, if you listen to my Fourth Wing episode, I called it that Violet's mom was not evil. Like, I knew that there was more to her. I knew that she's not a bad person. I knew that she loves her children. So, Iron Flame confirmed that. And the way I cried when Violet's mom died, more than what I cried with Liam. Just because I have a weak spot for parents. I love parents, especially a mother's love is so big and strong, and that was just so sad. It was so sad. I don't even want, like, I'm getting teary-eyed right now. So yeah, I want more of Violet's mom. I think she's a very interesting character, General Sorrengail. Ugh, I wish she didn't die as soon as she did, because we could have learned so much more about her, and interactions with her could have been really cool. Okay, I'm thinking if I missed anything that I wanted to discuss. So the ending, like, obviously, I've already explained my theories when it comes to the ending, but also, obviously, Imogen erased Violet's memories of the past 12 hours because they have a secret plan going on that involves Violet, Imogen, Xaden, Bodhi, Garrick, and I'm sorry if I missed anyone. Violet is now married to Xaden, so she is ruling in his stead. Amazing. She doesn't want to be a ruler, so she's gonna be a great one. 6 eggs were stolen. Was it 6 or was it more? Yeah, I think it was 6. What is that? What does that mean? I don't know. I'm wondering, like, we know that the veil is sacred to the dragons and humans cannot enter it. While the hatching grounds in Eretia, I'm not sure if it applies. Like, is it the same thing that humans can also not enter it? Because if that's the case, that would mean that Tairn and, like, the dragons, some of the dragons were collaborating and they stole the eggs. I don't know. What could the point of eggs be? Like, that's so weird. Because we know that some of the islands, they wanted eggs, and the only way that they would actually work with them and help them would be if they got eggs and dragons. But I don't think that the dragons would ever allow that. So I don't think that they took the eggs to them. Plus, what do they need them now for? They got the army from that island that played games with them, and the 7th breed, they came back to help with the wards, so the wards are up. I mean, I guess they would still need reinforcements, especially if Xaden is now, like, waging a war against the Venin secretly. Maybe he needs, like, more people, I don't know. I don't think it has anything to do with that, but I'm just like, I don't know what the point of the eggs is. We'll see. That's part of their mystery plan. Xaden's definitely not evil, like, not fully evil. He's still there. He still feels the love for Violet, you know. It was said, I think Theophany said it, that Venin, they don't feel love the same way. You know, that they don't even feel love, that they just don't feel it. Violet was in denial when it comes to that. I kind of hope that's the case. I want Xaden to not feel love. I want him to be fully, but he's not, so it frustrates me. It really does. I might be probably the only reader in this world that wants Xaden to be like that, but it would just be a much cooler plot for the next 2 books. Can't believe there are 2 more books. Like, this was supposed to be a trilogy, by the way, if you didn't know, but it was selling so well, and it just became so popular that now they turned it into 5 books. And I don't like when they do that. When an author has a plan and it gets changed because of money, it's never a good thing, okay? I don't know. This could have probably been a lot better as a trilogy. We wouldn't have that much filler. Maybe she had her story developed much better. I heard that she has an ending already planned, that she already knows how the book ends. But I can only assume that this is the ending she had in mind for a trilogy. Well, when it's a 5-book series, like, maybe she can end it in the same way, but we'll see if it's as impactful as if it would have been if it was a trilogy, right? Okay, I think that the only thing that I want to do is read some quotes from Onyx Storm that I really liked, but my Kindle isn't working, as I've explained already, so I'll have to Google them. Okay, so this is a foreshadowing for sure, what Xaden says. I could reach the rank of Maven, lead armies of dark wielders against everyone we care for, and watch every vein in my body turn red as I channel all the power in the continent, and I would still love you. What I did doesn't change that. I'm not sure anything can. A very powerful quote. I like this quote. I love these kinds of quotes, by the way, when it comes to romance. when the guy, he would do anything and he would kill everyone just to save his woman. Like, morality gone just when it comes to the person he loves. I don't know. Maybe it sounds sick. Maybe that's not good. Maybe that's a bad mentality. But I love that. I just love that kind of a deep love. And Xaden definitely feels that for Violet. And he's saying that, yeah, no matter what he becomes, the love will still stay. And that's exactly what we saw in the last chapter. He still felt something for Violet. And therefore, that is going to keep him grounded. And he will not turn fully Venin, which is unfortunate. And it's a lazy reason for him to not turn Venin. There are a lot of Venin who probably turned and had people that they loved deeply, just like Xaden loves Violet. So yeah, good foreshadowing quote, you could say, and also just a good quote in general. It's a nice speech. Riddick's quote. This is a good one because I think this is really the case. It really pisses me off when you guys act like my sense of humor somehow lessens my ability to show up for our squad. I think this is so relatable. I felt Riddick here. I feel like he likes to make people laugh, so sometimes it seems like they are not taking him seriously. So I really like this statement, and it's so true, and he's just as capable as everyone else, and go Riddick, tell them. Cute quote, your death would annoy me, by Glane. I think Glane is Rhiannon's dragon. Oh my gosh, I actually remember that. Oh my gosh, I remember. I literally thought that I would just know whose Gale is, Theron, and Andarna, and that's it, that I would never remember the names of these freaking other dragons. Like, the fact that Rebecca expects us to remember all of this, because it feels like she's expecting it. Since she doesn't explain anything, she just states it, and you should know. And I'm not the type of person who's gonna stop reading if it's interesting and just go Google who this dragon is. Like, oh my gosh, it would put me out of it completely. But fine, yeah. Your death would annoy me. I love this quote to Rhiannon. It seems that all of these dragons are very snarky, and they that might be a problem maybe in the future if we get more of them, just because I don't want it to feel like all of these dragons are the same, like basically all of them are the same. I want to meet a dragon that's very serious and he doesn't joke around and he's just boring. Like, I want a boring dragon just because I want them to have different personalities too, Irid dragon, are humans so rare in Navari that you must share? The sarcasm. I by the way, I like the Irid dragons. I feel like these quotes are kind of making me remember things I forgot to mention. The Irid dragons, they were kind of different, and I love that. They were, raised and they grew up far away from the other ones, so their personalities are more respectful of humans. It seems that they don't take themselves as seriously. They don't think that they're so superior. They seem very mature, and even I understood that when they said that humans, all they do is fight wars and they keep repeating the same cycle. That's true. History keeps repeating itself, even in our world. So I can't blame them from not wanting to help, if I'm completely honest, for just detaching themselves and just being like, fuck this shit, we've tried. I would never give up on something I love, but they probably don't really love humans. It's just their goodwill that they used to help them, that they used to try to work with them, function with them. So I don't really blame them. I'm not disappointed by them. Their reasoning made sense. And a quote that I also liked from Quinn when she was dying, she said to Imogen, we made it a good one. I feel like Rebecca's really good with these parting quotes. When Violet's mom died, she said something along the lines of seeing her dad again, I'm gonna be with him. Breaks my heart. That makes me so sad because that's... actually, I might cry right now, I'm sorry. Oof, damn it. Okay. Because that's the only thing that we can wish for, when our loved ones die, and once we get to that point, that we will be reunited with them and that we'll be together again, and... makes me sad. And yeah, this one is a good one too. We made it a good one. And Sloane and Dane, I'm going to hurt you, gods don't I know it. That's the one that I already mentioned, and of course I love this quote because it has so much meaning. The dedication of Rebecca Yarros, how could I forget? To the ones who don't run with the popular crowd, the ones who get caught reading under their desks, the ones who feel like they never get invited, included, or represented. Get your letters, we have dragons to ride. Oh my gosh, this hit deep. Okay, this hit me in the heart. I feel like we have all of us, at least at one point in our life, have felt like this. I feel like I'm a social person. I'm an extrovert. I mean, I'm a mix. I can also be an introvert, but mostly I'm an extrovert. But I'm just different, you know? A lot of the times when my friends would be hanging out, like in school, I would be in the corner, kind of listening in on the conversation, but reading my fantasy books, you know? So I was always kind of different. And sometimes what made me different from my friends who are extroverts in the right sense of the word, made me also kind of feel lonely and kind of excluded sometimes. And I also had some toxic friends in my past, you know, that they would like not invite me places on purpose. So what I'm trying to say is that I feel like we've all been there where we kind of felt like we didn't belong in one way or another. And this dedication is everything. I love it. And jealous Xaden is the best. I loved him when he went to Xaden. I know this is all over the place, but the quotes are reminding me of the things that I forgot to mention. So he kind of went up to Violet and he asked her if she was in love with Xaden. Were you in love with him? And that was so powerful and so good, and I was so happy that Violet confirmed it, because yeah, she was. She had the light before you, so fucking what, you know? So that was great. And I think when everyone keeps assuming that she's gonna end up with Dane, like her dad, for example, he thought that once she visits the islet, it's gonna be with Dane. They're gonna be in love and together. And Xaden's like, everyone assumes she'll wind up with you, but it's my last name she ends up wearing on her flight jacket information. Like, these power moves when it comes to Xaden are everything, okay? His power moves, the way he puts people in place, like literally these kinds of sentences are great, but sometimes even with his presence, he just walks into a room and everything stops. He has that power, okay? I love Xaden. Oh my gosh, another thing. Let's get 3 things straight, Your Highness. First, I have remarkable hearing thanks to the shadows at your very feet. Second, I don't control Violet. Never have, never will. But third, and most importantly, he lowers his voice, she really, honestly, hasn't thought about you. At least not since the second she set eyes on me. I love these kinds of moments. I needed more of that. I needed more of Xaden being like normal so that Xaden can like put him in his place even more. Because like eventually when Xaden became stupid, there was nothing to put into place. You know, it was like, the guy's stupid. Like, let's not waste our breath on him. So yeah, I think that's it for this book discussion. If there's anything that I really forgot to mention, for example, just remembered Panchuk. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name, but honestly, I don't care about Panchuk. I don't care that he betrayed them at the end. I don't even know who Panchuk is, if I'm completely honest. Like, who the fuck is this man? Like a politician? I don't know. I don't care. Yeah, so if I forgot anything that actually does matter, let me know. Or if it matters to you, maybe Panchik matters to you, okay? We can discuss that if it's like more meaningful and important than I'm giving it credit to. But yeah, basically my expectations for the next book, well, not expectations, hopes, I guess. I hope Xaden turns fully Venin. He doesn't feel love, he doesn't feel remorse. He maybe kills one of her friends actually, just not Riddick, okay? That's my hope. But if that doesn't happen, which I have a suspicion that it doesn't, so my expectation would be in that case that it's not lazily explained away as he's in love with Violet and his love is so strong that it keeps him grounded. No. Okay, no, just no. Other Venin have loved ones and they're still dark and they're not grounded. That's all. And yeah, I need a good explanation for Andarna, why she came back, which we'll probably get. Oh, definitely my hope that we will get multiple POVs. God, Rebecca, the gods of Fort Wayne universe, just please let us get multiple POVs. We need other love stories. Like, we need Mira and her dude's love story. We need Sloane and Dane. We need Garrick and Imogen. I cannot bear just Violet and Xaden anymore. They don't do it for me anymore as much as they used to. And even if they did, I would still want other love stories to make it more interesting, more diverse, and they all have a lot of potential, I think. So let's do that. And yeah, I think that's it. I mean, I think I explained a lot of the things that bugged me and that I wish were different and what my theories are, what my hopes are already, but to just sum it up at the end. So yeah, we have finally finished this episode. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, like, rate, anything that you can do if you like this episode, of course. And you can also comment here on Spotify or on YouTube, wherever you are. Also posting it to Apple, of course. I have Instagram, I have TikTok, so follow along for some relatable content. And that's it for today. Next week, I will probably be discussing The Heartless Hunter, which is book 1 of the Crimson Mod series. So if you have not read that one yet, like, I'm just starting today, so we can actually read together if you want, and then on Monday you'll get an episode about it. Except if I don't like the book, or if it's just ugh to me, you know, if it's nothing special, if I don't feel any kind of an excitement about it, if it's not a big deal for me, then I will not be discussing it here. So stay tuned for that, and yeah, see you next week. Bye!